This week's title is U.S. Economic Growth Rate Fell by 1% due to November personal income and consumption expenditure. This week's CQM updated only the final 2020 Q3 GDP and November personal income and consumption expenditure. Personal consumption expenditure and proprietors' income fell sharply in November. As a result, the economic growth rate was revised downward considerably on both the expenditure and income sides. The economic growth rate measured from the expenditure side in 2020 Q3 was 7.6% higher than that from the income side. Therefore, GDO is a better indicator of economic growth as introduced by BEA in July 1975. As a result, the economic growth rate was revised downward by about 1% on both the expenditure and income side, respectively. We can see the weakening momentum for the economic growth recently. When the gap in economic growth rate between the expenditure and income side is large, the average growth rate of real GDP on both the expenditure and income side is a better economic growth indicator, as BEA introduced GDO. Conclusion from this week's US CQM Forecast Alert. Due to the sharp decline in personal consumption expenditure and proprietors' income in November, the economic growth rate was revised downward by about 1% on the expenditure and income side, respectively. In order to correctly judge the current economic growth rate, 3.19% of the average real GDP on both the expenditure and income side is recommended, as BEA introduced GDO in July 1975. The momentum of economic expansion has been recently weakening, but there is little chance of a recession. This slide contains information about this week's detailed CQM forecast, the original developer of CQM, and CQM theory papers.